As you approach the battlefield, you see numerous people lying by the side of the road. They appear to be dressed like guards. Their faces are filled with desperation and terror. Some are screaming and cursing in vain, as if still trying to banish the monstrosities they saw from their minds. It doesn't seem like there's any information to be gained from the area up ahead. You conclude that this area is best left unexplored at this time. A few of the wounded look up at you in shock and disbelief. "Quick, leave this place. Turn around and don't look back," they yell.
Strike a pose!
It doesn't seem like there's any information to be gained from the area up ahead. You conclude that this area is best left unexplored at this time.
Strike a pose!
This is the place he mentioned, right?
You see broken iron swords scattered all around you, and downed trees riddled with terrifying claw marks. All the signs point to one thing. A truly devastating battle just took place here.
Be on your guard, everyone. The monsters might still be around.
Before you can finish your sentence, you hear rustling sounds from the surrounding bushes. The monsters have emerged. They close in on you without fear. You get the impression that, in their bloodthirsty eyes, you're just another meal for them to devour.
A little help here! This thing wants to eat Paimon!
Your battle round begins now. The next battle round begins now. Now disappear!
Hey there! Watch out!
The monsters let out a terrifying roar of anger and resentment before dissipating into thin air.
Ugh, thank goodness it's over.
We're lucky the Marashose Hunter class came with all those preset skill points. Otherwise, we would have been in some real trouble.
I never knew the Fatometer even determines the amount of damage you inflict. If you get unlucky, isn't it just game over right then and there? That's part of the fun. The uncertainty of fate is what gives these games their appeal.
Just as you begin to celebrate your victory, a suspicious lump on the ground catches your attention.
A suspicious lump. Wait, could it be The thing that appears after every battle?
I walk up to it, crouch down, and begin to carefully examine it. I've still got my right glove on, so it should be fine for me to touch it, right?
As you investigate the mound, you discover that the exposed portion appears to be made of wood. It was previously obscured by the large form of the monsters. With the monsters gone, the small protrusion now awaits your discovery, poking out of the ground like a shy flower bud.
Whoa, it's a treasure chest!
With everyone's help, you successfully excavate the wooden chest from the ground. Even without opening it, you can tell from the mora and jewels scattered around the chest that it must contain quite the fortune.
Makes sense. We worked hard for this. Let's open it. We can share what's inside.
I can understand your excitement, Paimon, but think about it. Doesn't it seem like there are people out there who need this treasure more than us?
Yeah. Think about all the people suffering in the capital, or all those guards who got hurt fighting the monsters. Wouldn't it be better if we gave the treasure to them?
Wait, is that how it works? Paimon thought since we were the ones to dig it up, we could just take it for ourselves.
Well, let's put it this way. Any decision you make during a role-playing game can impact the future course of the story.
But would the people really believe us? It's hard enough for us to prove we're Marcia Say hunters. What if they think we procured the treasure illegally? They might get even more suspicious of us.
That's definitely something we should consider. Maybe we can come up with an explanation in advance.
Well, if donating it could cause that much trouble, why don't we use it to buy some gear and fill up on good food? Then we'll be ready to fight even more bad guys.
Looks like you're facing a difficult choice once again. Well, it's getting late. Why don't we call it a day for now?
Wow! Where did the time go?
I'm not sure if it's because I'm having so much fun with you all or because the story is particularly enticing, but I feel like I could almost keep going.
Here, here! Ooh, how about we play through the night?
I'm not sure I'll have enough energy for that.
Yeah, that won't work for me either. Lynette will give me an earful if I get home too late.
I understand how you feel, Navia, but we have to change venues for the next part of the story anyway.
Huh? Another location?
There's a special note for the GM at the end of this section that says to proceed to an indoor set for the next part of the script.
Whoa! They really pulled out all the stops for this new script.
Well, even if we end the game for the day, we can still stay a little longer and hear Clorinde finish her story, right? Paimon wants to hear more about the history of the hunters.
Something tells me you just want to finish the free desserts before we break for the day.
feels even worse than having to buy your own. And anyway, Paimon really does want to hear more about Clorinde's master.
Well...
It's nothing. I appreciate the concern, but it's all in the past. It won't do any harm to share these things now. My earliest memories are of living with Master. According to her, she saved me from certain people of ill repute. My birth parents had left me behind some time before that.
What a heavy beginning for a life story.
Master was a fascinating individual, if inexperienced in the ways of raising children. My first ever toy was a short sword, although I suppose it wasn't so much a toy as something Master removed from her waist and handed to a noisy child in need of distraction.
Oh, wait, so she handed an actual sword to a child? Isn't that dangerous? Did you hurt yourself?
Of course I did. I cut my palm and bled quite a lot. But Master was not concerned. She just stood there and casually lectured me about it. "See, that's what you get for not holding the sword properly," she told me. She then crouched down next to me and said, "Give me your hand. I'll teach you to bandage this wound. After that, it's time to learn how to truly hold a blade."
Excuse me for asking this, Clorinde, but how old were you exactly when all this happened?
Probably around, 3, give or take.
3? Isn't that when most kids are still struggling to hold a fork?
As I said, Master was rather inexperienced in the ways of raising children. She believed trial and error was the best way to teach a child what they're capable of.
I'm not so sure this is a question of experience.
I didn't see anything wrong with her ways at the time. And anyway, children don't get to choose how they're raised. Oh, she did bring me back a pet from Liyue once. It was a Geovishap hatchling.
A Geovishap hatchling? For a pet? That seems even more dangerous!
What she said was this: "Make sure to get along, you two. If you really can't agree on something, just settle it with a fight. Whoever loses is the real pet."
And how old were you when this happened?
5.
Well, did you win?
No, I lost.
So, you're saying you actually became the Geovishap's pet?
Yes, but only for a week. By the end of that week, I defeated it in combat, and we've shared a cordial relationship ever since.
That really doesn't sound like the kind of childhood someone should have.
Later on, I gradually understood that Master most likely didn't know any other way to raise a child. She was a marechaussee hunter, but I never heard her bring up her own parents. Thanks to her, I learned how to navigate the forest by the age of 6, and could hunt monsters in the wild by myself the year after that. Even though the training she subjected me to was strict, she always made sure to take me traveling when she had the time. We met many of her friends during those days. That was also how I met Mr. Callis and his family.
I still remember the first time we met. You were too scared to join our picnic and hid behind Ms. Petronia the whole time.
I still hadn't really met many children my age at that time, so I didn't know how to interact with others.
After that, though, you started coming over a lot. You loved challenging people to shooting competitions, remember? I don't think many members of the Spina ever beat you in one of those.
I had a lot of fun during those days.
I enjoyed them too. Oh, do you remember that one time we went exploring around the Spina together? We overheard Papa call your master Fontaine's Protector of Justice. We tried to pretend like we never heard anything, but you nearly let it slip that one time.
Protector of Justice. Oh, wait, you mean that vigilante hero from 20 years ago? The one who is always active at night?
Yep, that would be her. She often would put on a black cloak and go out at night. I never knew where she went or what she was doing. Until, like Navia said, we overheard the truth from Mr. Callis that night.
20 years ago, huh? I still remember the guards leaving all kinds of witness reports about her on Nervalette's desk.
My apologies.
Oh, there's no need to apologize. You had nothing to do with it. And anyway, everything she did was for a good cause. Although, calling herself the Protector of Order was a bit much. Especially when she deliberately operated outside the law.
Huh? When did the Protector of Justice become the Protector of Order?
Oh, she had a bunch of code names. I heard she would just come up with a name on the spot whenever she was asked. Later on, she probably got sick of answering those questions and decided to stick to just two. The Protector of Justice and the Protector of Order.
That sounds like her, all right. I bet she forgot which of the two she'd use by the time she got back each night.
Well, she certainly sounds like a fascinating individual. With her strong sense of justice, it's no surprise her student followed in her footsteps.
It's true. I always wanted to become like her. Someone powerful, independent, and with a strong sense of conviction. But... She suddenly disappeared the night I turned 10 years old.
Disappeared? What happened?
I have no idea. She didn't even leave a note. I was never able to find out where she went. That night, I was celebrating my birthday at Navia's house, but Master never came to pick me up. When I returned home on my own, it was to an empty house. When she still didn't appear after a few days, I went to Mr. Callis's house to ask about her whereabouts, but he only shook his head.
Papa probably didn't know either. I know he sent a few people to investigate the matter in secret, but they never found any credible leads.
Don't worry, I understand. To be perfectly honest, given Master's personality and way of doing things, it all made a lot of sense. If I had to guess, I'd say she probably used it as an opportunity to force me to become independent. Just like how, when a litter of kittens reaches a certain age, the mother willingly leaves them behind.
Were you upset, Clorinde?
I was at first, but not anymore. I don't believe Master would suddenly disappear for no reason. There must have been something she just had to do.
Well, despite everything, you still managed to follow in her footsteps and become the greatest champion duelist in all of Fontaine. You're practically a living symbol of law and justice.
I suspect my position would be far too by the books for her. Master always did whatever she pleased. But you're right. I suppose I do take after her in some ways.
Who knew Clorinde had such an interesting past? I never had the chance to ask her about it before. I wonder... if Clorinde's master were the champion duelist back then, would that duel against Mr. Callus have gone differently? Oh no. Judging by the atmosphere, Clorinde and Navi are probably thinking something similar. The mood just got super awkward all of a sudden.
Well, anyway... would you look at the time? It's getting dark, so we should probably call it a day for real this time. If we keep talking like this, we really will be here all night.
I had a great time today, Miss Clorinde. Thank you for being our GM.
Anytime.
The script was good, but I've got to say, your childhood stories were even better. Hey, you should tell us more about that fight against the Geo-Bishop sometime. Maybe your master was onto something.
You could be right.
What does she mean, onto something? I certainly don't know any 5-year-olds who want to fight a bishop in their spare time. Guess I'll head back as well. I need to save my energy if I want to continue enjoying the story tomorrow.
You're that excited to hear about my fight with the bishop?
I was talking about the script.
Just between the two of us, could you tell me what it was like to be the Geo-Bishop's pet?
It was nothing special, really. Geo-Bishops don't understand the concept of a pet. So basically, it just headbutted me whenever I entered its territory.
And that hurt?
Yeah, it hurt. What, something you want to experience for yourself?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks.
I knew you'd miss me. Ah.
Welcome to Ballet Memos. Let's get to work. I like signs of strength and hope. They give me reassurance that tomorrow will be better than today. This isn't to be pessimistic, but it's impossible for the present to be without its doubts and troubles. That's just the truth. But come hell or high water, if nothing else, then at least we'll be able to figure it out together, right?
Reconstitute! Extract! Neutralize! Fresh and floral! This'll brighten up the place. A little ambiance. Do the spoils live up to your expectations? Do the spoils live up to your expectations? Shall I help share the load? Not a shred of information about the owner. My sense of smell is fading. That was an adverse reaction. Time to reassess the scene. Take a moment. Don't worry, I'm here. I can smell blood. The lantern is extinguished. Is it my time to go? My weakness. I was poorly prepared. I must be more prudent. It would be my honor. The pleasure is all mine. I'm quite flattered. Hello, my name is Emily. Is your inquiry perfume-related by any chance? If your inquiry is of a different nature, I suggest we find a quieter place to talk. Now there's an idea. Oh, just a moment, please. I need to jot this down. Many ladies in the court of Fontaine like to spray their perfume onto a delicate lace fan, allowing them to generate a pleasant fragrance with each flick of the wrist. It's quite an ingenious method. Would you mind coming with me to buy a copy of today's newspaper? Rain can be quite troublesome sometimes. It washes too many things away. When lightning strikes, it always leaves behind a unique scent in the air. What an extraordinary environment! I'd imagine there are many precious materials to be found here. The sunshine is so nice. The sign of a good day ahead, I hope. High-quality ingredients can be found everywhere, even in the barren desert. Wennet fat, for example, can be refined into a very valuable perfume component. I like to start off my day by drinking a glass of ice-cold water. It helps me wake up. A casual stroll after a meal aids digestion and increases blood circulation. So, would you like to join? Certain perfume ingredients can only be gathered at specific times of the day, so sometimes I need to head out in the middle of the night. Good night. I could recommend quite a few fragrances to help with sleep if you want, but letting your body fall asleep naturally is always best. I must admit, I'm not very good at coming up with topics to talk about. Simply put, I'm not the best conversationalist, but if there's anything you want to share, good or bad, I'm always willing to listen. When the authorities finish investigating a homicide or a fatal accident, there's still a lot of cleanup work to be done at the scene. This includes disposing of organic matter, removing bloodstains, sanitizing the area, all of which are the responsibility of a forensic cleaner. Interestingly enough, I'm not actually affiliated with any organization in the Court of Fontaine. I'm an independent contractor. I do have a long-standing work agreement with the guards, but I also accept private commissions. That's pretty much all there is to say about my line of work. But if you have any questions, by all means ask away. What perfume do I usually wear? Sorry to disappoint, but I don't normally wear perfume while I'm working. It can get in the way of others' scents when working, you see. But if you tell me a little bit about your current mood, I can certainly give you a few recommendations. I once tried to use my vision to create a plant species that could grow without any nourishment. Unfortunately,
my attempts were entirely unsuccessful. It just goes to show, even with the power of a vision, there's still a limit to what is possible. You can't defy the laws of nature. The five senses aren't completely independent. The color red, for example, might evoke a feeling of warmth, and fragrances can induce specific sensations as well. This property is mainly exploited on the sales front, though. If a customer is feeling down, for example, they can be easily persuaded to choose a perfume with an herbal or sweet scent. Nothing can be more interesting than encountering new things. You've traveled to so many places, and I'm sure your range of experience is much broader than my own. So I was wondering if I could make a request? Have you ever encountered a flower, or spice maybe, that left a particularly strong impression on you? Could you tell me about it? The Intivat flower. Can't say I've ever heard of it, but that's certainly a grand-sounding name. All right, well, I've made a note of it. If I'm lucky enough to ever see it in person, I'll certainly let you know. I'm not sure if she ever mentioned it, but we met each other through work. Although most of our conversations aren't nearly as serious as our jobs would suggest, one time, she told me she read a novel about a perfumer who makes a scent using human tissue. Fictional, of course, but in the story, it turns out to be astonishingly successful. The finest perfume ever made. Based on my own experience, I find it hard to believe the scent would turn out quite so wonderful in real life. Chevreuse wasn't too focused on the feasibility, though. She was too busy trying to unravel all the legal liabilities involved in a situation like that. As a designer, Chiori has a keen eye for trends. Although we deal in completely different products, I still enjoy listening to her talk about the creative thought process behind her designs. Not to mention, she has a pretty good eye when it comes to perfume. Whenever I have her test out my new products, she always manages to pick the one that ends up selling the best. A truly energetic young lady. Being a journalist, I would imagine quite a few people see her as nothing but trouble, but that hasn't been my experience. Even after discovering the true nature of my work, she still chose to keep it to herself. This despite the fact that she had no reason to help me, and it probably wasn't in her professional interest to do so. So I have quite a high opinion of her. If she ever needed my help, I would certainly not refuse. I'm fairly certain everyone in Fontaine knows that name. She's a formidable champion duelist after all, although I find her quite easy to get along with. In my experience, the stronger a person is in combat, the more open they are in conversation. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Miss Sijuin met me when I was very young. Too young to remember. Oh, I probably haven't told you. My father works for the Marechaussee Phantom, so we often have Melazines over as guests. Apparently, the Melazines were often the ones looking after me as a baby. But Miss Sijuin has never treated me as her junior. She always speaks highly of my perfumes, so whenever I make a new sample, I usually set aside an extra for her. As a perfumer, if your sense of smell starts to become dull, there's actually quite an easy solution: drinking fresh water. I'm not usually strict about the water I drink, but out of curiosity, I once attended a water tasting event organized by Monsieur Neuvillette. He had such an abstract yet distinctive understanding of the distinguishing features of different types of water. It almost reminded me of the way magazine articles talk about perfume. He took the time to understand my needs and recommended a few water sources to me with utmost sincerity. He was so considerate. Sometimes I'd choose to buy the varieties he recommended, even if just out of respect for him. You know Risley? Well, aren't you full of surprises? From what I know, the Duke tries to keep a very low profile. Most people don't even know he exists. Monsieur Neuvillette once tried to recommend my services to him, but apparently he thought that the Fortress of Meripede would have no occasion for them. I can't know what his reasons were for turning me down, as I've never met him in person. but if I was to speculate, I would say perhaps there are certain things he doesn't want washed away. Perhaps he prefers to leave them there, as a warning. I've only met him in person a few times, but we communicate by letter often. He reached out to me first, writing a letter after tracking down my details through some roundabout way. He was extremely polite, and it was incredibly flattering to have such a renowned botanist ask for my flower-related expertise. But I also saw it as a chance to learn from him. I decided to ask some of my own questions, particularly about perfume ingredients from Sumeru, and he gave me thorough answers to each and every one. Now our correspondence is much more casual. He even tells me about his companion sometimes. I really am delighted I got this opportunity to make a new friend. People often romanticize perfume, assigning it all sorts of poetic qualities. But in reality, perfume making is much closer to a science. It can be boiled down to a simple chemistry experiment, really. It's up to the perfumer to bridge the gap between the product's artistic and scientific qualities, and doing that with any degree of success takes quite a bit of skill. People can describe how a certain scent makes them feel, sure, but it's very difficult to recreate a scent just based off of a written description, even for me. So I do apologize, but I don't take custom orders. That said, if you find any of my other perfumes to be to your liking, it would of course be my honor to do business with you. A perfume must undergo a series of tests before its release, including a shelf life test. This can help answer several questions. How long does the product last? Is it prone to deterioration? Will it become toxic or even dissipate over time? Now that I think about it, wouldn't it be nice if there were a way of doing a shelf life test for interpersonal relationships? I don't deliberately hide my real profession, but I do prefer to be discreet whenever possible. Not because I'm worried that it'll turn customers off my perfume, I'm just cognizant of the fact that my work as a forensic cleaner subjects me to a lot of sensitive information, things that can't be disclosed to the public. The people who commission my services place a lot of trust in me. I don't want them to receive any unwanted attention because of me. I like to collect newspaper clippings. Whenever I come across an unbelievable story in the newspaper, I cut out a clipping and add it to my collection. I've filled up several thick binders that way. Flipping through them is almost like reading one of those short story series that Chevros is so fond of. All the dogs in the park are so sweet, but if you want to pet them, you have to indulge them with some playtime first. I suppose it's a good problem to have. Fresh shrimp sprinkled with sea salt, lightly poached, then dipped in melted butter. Simple and delicious. You should try it sometime. I don't eat a lot of red meat. Controversial, I know. It tastes just as good as it smells. Thank you for sharing it with me. I enjoyed it very much. It looks delightful, and the texture is fairly pleasing as well. Are there really people who are particularly partial to this kind of flavor? Happy birthday! I know perfume preferences are extremely personal, but I took the liberty of choosing one I think you'll like. It's one of my own creations, actually, but it's not available to purchase yet. I tried to combine the floral and fruity notes found in nature around this time of year. I was going for more of a subtle scent. Anyway, I hope it brings you a little peace and comfort whenever you wear it. Thank you ever so much. No need to be so modest. Of course you deserve thanks. Thank you for your suggestions. They give me a lot of food for thought. Power is only useful when wielded by the right person. I'll do my best to honor your trust in me.
meet up with the group. Paimon's really looking forward to today's story.
I'm the side effects. Let's begin. Oh? On our way now. Not bad. No backup, huh? Fine by me.
The doctor will see.
A bitter pill to swallow.